young mistress. The old mother had gotten angry and left immediately. The son, indignant on behalf of his mother, called his father an inhumane person. Fortunately, he had a way to handle it. He stepped forward, friendly, praising the girl's charm, saying she looked like a movie star. The girl was overjoyed, trying to guess a few movie titles herself, but they were all wrong. He said coldly, "That's the movie Deep Throat." The face of the young girl immediately changed, but this humiliation did not make the father feel any remorse whatsoever. One day, the mother tearfully said that the father had taken all the property in the house and left with that loose woman to find a new home. The son was once again angry to the point of red eyes, secretly cursing the father as a scoundrel. He brought a bottle of wine to the house, pretending to congratulate the two newlyweds. The father thought his son finally understood him, shamelessly boasting about the young girlfriend's sensual figure, saying his old train now had a new engine, and degrading the mother as a boring, old, and ugly person. The son listened, his eyes gradually directed towards the iron crowbar on the ground. When he stepped out of the room, his face was covered in blood. At this point, you might perhaps think that the son is different from his father, that he would surely be faithful to his wife and children. But completely the opposite, he was even worse and more wretched than his father. This movie is considered the peak of Tom Hardy's acting. His characteristic sneer has become a classic moment in film history. See how excellently he portrays the character of a scumbag. As soon as Freddy is released from prison, his best friend Jimmy comes to pick him up. Jimmy is both his cousin and Freddy's most loyal associate. Don't look at the shy appearance of Jimmy currently. Later you will realize he is a major potential factor. Freddy's wife was also home, dressed lavishly, and had hung a large banner welcoming him back. Outsiders looking in might perhaps think he had just achieved high success and returned home in glory. As soon as he reached the door, Freddy's wife rushed forward and hugged him tightly like a hungry wolf, saying she missed him very much. Freddy even hadn't had a chance to ask about his family when he dragged his wife into the room, completely ignoring the relatives standing outside the door. The sounds coming from inside the room were completely impossible to ignore. Freddy's wife hoped that after a few years in prison, Freddy would change and become a good man. But Freddy's father had asserted that a dog cannot change its eating habits, and he was right. Freddy then reluctantly dragged Maggie, also his wife's biological younger sister, and also Jimmy's girlfriend, out to dance, even putting his hands on inappropriate places. The world of Freddy seemed to have no rules whatsoever. Indeed, Freddy was still like before, not caring about his wife and children, constantly away from home, either having affairs with other women or getting drunk. Freddy's wife was again drowned in tears as before. Sadly, she was someone who valued love too much. Freddy only saw those girls as a casual fling. Maggie felt her sister had lost all hope. Freddy was not just a terrible person, but also a notorious cold-blooded gangster in the underworld. Before being released from prison, Freddy had received instructions from the underworld boss Ozzy, who was still in prison. Hearing that the gang's second-in-command was doing well outside, Ozzy wanted Freddy to warn him and see if he was overstepping his authority. Unexpectedly, the second-in-command had anticipated this early on. The very night Freddy was released, he gave Freddy a preemptive show of force. "Out here, I'm the boss. To survive here, you have to earn my respect." But Freddy was not someone easily controlled by others. He immediately walked away with an arrogant swagger, heading to the home of an old associate. Just because after Freddy went to prison, this person had embezzled his illicit money. His fury erupted, and Freddy beat his associate to a vegetative state. This terrified his subordinate Jimmy, because the associate was now the second-in-command's right-hand man. This time Freddy had caused a big problem. However, things were not as bad as predicted. The second-in-command summoned Freddy not to punish him, but on Ozzy's orders from prison, wanted the brothers to carry out a big job, robbing a bank. And the associate Freddy beat, who was in the hospital, would be replaced by Freddy himself. The messenger was Patricia, who was also Ozzy's biological sister. As soon as he saw that Patricia was somewhat beautiful, Freddy's familiar smirk appeared again. As he left, he didn't forget to glance back a few more times. Back to the main point. Although seemingly valued outwardly, Freddy still knew the second-in-command would find a way to eliminate him, either by using this job or by having him ambushed upon his return during the operation. So he wanted Jimmy to join the bank robbery, as Jimmy was the only person he trusted. But Jimmy was naturally timid and had never committed a crime. His girlfriend Maggie had a big fight with him about it. However, Jimmy was someone who valued brotherhood in distress. No matter what, he had to help. Maggie couldn't stop him. Unexpectedly, this very job would change Jimmy's fate and also alter their brotherhood. They all broke into the bank vault according to plan. Pay attention. Jimmy wore a green hat, while Freddy wore a yellow hat. The director had a specific intention. The story behind it would reveal itself. Initially, everything went smoothly. The second-in-command was too aggressive. He poured gasoline on the bank manager's head. The old manager was so scared he temporarily couldn't remember the vault password. At the crucial moment, Jimmy calmly and successfully hinted at the password to help the manager remember. He became the biggest success, but this didn't affect everyone's contempt for him. Jimmy was naturally timid. Everyone treated him like a clown for amusement, while he just laughed along naively. At this point, the second-in-command called Freddie aside. It turned out he wanted to settle the score regarding Freddie beating the associate and declared he would take all the money stolen by Freddie and Jimmy, also threatening that if Freddie made it back alive, that would be lucky enough. Upon hearing this, Freddie's face turned red with anger, his eyes welled up, and his gaze became distant. In his daze, he lit a cigarette. Jimmy also sensed something unusual in the atmosphere. He only saw Freddie smash a bottle of wine under the table, stumbling towards the second-in-command, who was still rambling on. The second-in-command fell. The other subordinates also trembled in fear at Freddie's ferocious expression and simultaneously lowered their weapons. But Ozzy in prison only wanted Freddie